Alright guys, welcome back to the Frugal Homestead. So today we wanted to share with you the new way we're doing our firewood bundles. Now, this is not the cheapest way, but the fact is, after messing with bundles and selling firewood bundles, I'm more worried about the bundles staying together long term for either my customers or if I put them in stands than I am about the cost. So let me show you how we changed our setup, and let me show you a very cost-effective way to make bundles that won't fall apart. All right, so we're gonna come in here, and everybody knows what this is. Shrink wrap. We made a bunch of bundles out of those, hundreds of them, but when you go to put them in the truck and then offload them, they either would come loose or the shrink wrap would stick to each other or the wood sharp edges would cut it. And it just wasn't a viable solution. So the next thing we looked at was bags. Now everybody's seen different kinds of firewood bags. I mean, all kinds of them. You know, this is probably your most standard, but those are $1 a piece. And even though this bag has barely been out in the sun, it's already showing signs of wear. So what we went to was strapping. That's right, strapping. The simple solution to make a good, high quality, heavy duty bundle that you can throw around and it's not going to come undone. So let me show you how it's done. Alright guys, so you've seen our bundler before in a previous video. This is going to be getting completely rebuilt soon, but it still works for what we're doing. Now, in order to do this strapping, you're going to need a couple things. One, you're going to need the buckles. That's what connects the two pieces of strapping together. Now they make two kinds. One's a plastic one, and you fold them over, and that's what makes your buckle. Alright? Then you got the pre-made metal buckles. Now don't worry guys, I will put links for all this stuff down in the description and also tell you places you can get them cheaper, because you'd be amazed at what some of these places are charging for this stuff. So the next thing you're going to need is a ratcheted binder for the strapping. Now they've got hand ones that you can like tighten, but they don't work real well. I'll be honest, if you buy one of those just to have in the truck in case you need to tighten up a bundle, this is what you need. It's about 30 bucks, but it's worthwhile with how many bundles it'll do, and when you see it work, you'll understand why we got it. So the last thing you're gonna need is strapping. Now if you buy a big roll of it, it's super cheap. I mean super cheap. And then you figure out how many feet you got, and that's how you break it down. Now by our spending setup, it's about 21 cents if we're using the plastic buckles per bundle. It's about 30 cents using the metal buckles. Now that does not include the cost of the ratcheting strapper. That's a tool. You're going to have it forever. These things are cast iron. They are strong, and cast aluminum on some of it too. So let me show you how this is done. Alright, so I'm going to try to do this with the camera in front of me. It's not going to be easy, but there are plenty of videos that show you how to use these strapping machines on YouTube. So first thing you do is run your strapping around, come back to it. Okay, so there's your strap. So we're going to fold it back and pinch it. See that? Alright, now first one I'm going to do is the plastic, because it's a little harder to understand. So here's your plastic. We're going to go through the hole. Then we're going to flip one of the tabs through, just like that. So now I don't know if you can see that real well, but the tab's through and it's pulled back. Now we're going to take the other end and do the same thing. Push it through, pull it through it, see, and pull it back. Now what I do now is just grab the buckle and pull it tight. Just by pulling on this loose end, it's still connected to the roll. Now some people pre-cut their lines, I don't. Now for the tool. Here's what you need to understand. When going through here, if you want it to automatically cut off for you, you put the top one in here. But we don't want this cut off. Trust me, just do it this way. Put both lines through, squeeze it all the way down, and you'll notice that that comes up. You want to put the bottom line in there, and the top line goes through these wedges. So, I put it in. Both are underneath there. Bottom one goes back to that foot. I'm still holding it down, and slide this in the cutoffs, which is the top one that goes back to the box. Then you let off. Now the foot has grabbed the bottom one that goes under your bundle. The other one goes through this ratcheting mechanism, and that way we can ratchet. You see how it spins on it right there? Ratchet, 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 ratchet. And then you're going to see it start to really tighten up. You see it turn corner ways? That's where you got to stop. It takes some getting used to. Trust me, the ground under you is covered with ones I've snapped. You just have to learn to do it, and then you'll know. I can tighten up these metal ones way more than you can tighten up those plastic ones. That's just so you know. Now, the other benefit to the plastic ones though is they can hit it with a rock or whatever, and these will bust. And by them busting, they'll unwrap it, you know what I mean? Whereas with these, you got to either cut or burn the plastic to get into them, because these you can't hit with a rock and knock loose. So let's continue on. So what we do now is we squeeze, pull it out the side, unravel all this, and then we're going to put it through our little green slot, our little black slot here, which is the cutter. Squeeze down, it cuts off. Now your band is done. That's how to use the plastic one. Now let's do one with the metal. So once again, we take and put our strap through. We bend the top over and make a loop like that. Now we're going to take our metal and put it through. All right, so that's what it should look like. We're going to take the bottom one and we're going to put it through and then put it through the little tab. So now, as you can see, all I got to do is pull on the bottom one and hold the top one, and it just tightens it up. Now, as you can see, I've got my connector going back to the box. I'll take my ratcheting strapper, push it all the way down so this foot comes up. Once again, you put both of them underneath this. The bottom one goes here to the foot to hold it. The other one goes here to ratchet it up. So we put them in, both of them under it. Bottom one goes under the foot. The top one goes in the ratchet. All right? Now, we start ratcheting. Now with these, if you go slow and pay attention, they will actually crush this space between this leg and the actual buckle. That's how you know when it's tight enough. Any more than that and you start taking a chance of busting one. So, pop it out the side by just pushing the handle down and just wiggling it sideways. Then, you put it in the cutter, squeeze the cutter. Now it's done. Now, I really want you guys to understand how tight this is. That is tight. But, let's have some fun, because everybody's got to see it done so it won't scare you guys. We put one through. Pull it back. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and do one that's kind of hardcore. So we take our metal buckle. We're going to do it with metal because I want you guys to see what can happen. So, put it through like we talked about. Put this one up through. And then we're going to pull it down. Now obviously I'm a lot faster at this when I don't have a camera right in between my hip and the bundle. Alright, so there it is. Here's what I want you to watch out for, because I'll get to jamming, knocking these out, And I'll put this in, I'll slap that in, and I'll be like, come on, and hurrying up, and then boom, it broke. So this is pretty heavy. I think this is 300-pound brake strength strapping, but it doesn't take much with this ratchet because it tightens it so much, and finally it'll just snap. Now usually if you're using the plastic ones, the leg pops off. It doesn't usually break the strapping. But when this happens, hit the button, dump everything, and start over. So that's as simple as it is, guys. Now, does it take a little longer than the other ways? Slightly. Is it worth it though? Because when I'm stacking up like 50 bundles in my truck, that shrink wrap sticks to itself. So they don't like to ride, they shuffle, they come loose. I can see the benefit of the cost effectiveness, but I don't want my customers on my next run to come in to have 20 bundles laying there that are falling apart. They don't appreciate that, and I don't appreciate that. Also, I like to have a lot of bundles done up, like I have in there. I started getting my stock back up, but I like to have about 100 bundles at a time if the wood is completely dry, ready to go for people to call. So I like this better because they can sit there. If I step on them or mess with them, nothing's gonna happen. And actually, if you get the other kind that's like pliers, you can tighten them up if one happens to come loose out on a job or something, on a delivery. But as you can see, I mean, it's freaking pretty tight. And when you go to pick it up, you can pick it up, you can drop it down, and honestly, it's not gonna fall apart on you. Now, I do recommend the metal ones. I will have links in the description because sometimes people will buy them from like closeouts from industrial places, and you can get them cheaper, be it on Amazon, be it on eBay, whatever. I will put you links to everything you need in the description box. I will try to use direct links to the same providers I used, but as I said, sometimes I buy them on like a one-off thing to get them cheaper. I really think this is the way to do it. And for me, if I have like an hour or two, or as you can see, I'm out here on this porch, if it's raining and it's holding me back from doing something, I come out and just bust out a few bundles, turn on some music, make some bundles, stick them inside so they stay nice and dry, and they're ready to go whenever I'm ready to sell them. Now, 30 cents a bundle may seem like a lot for doing the metal ones, but what's the return on it when you figure out we're selling them for 5 to 6 a piece? Or for like $4 if they're buying like 100 or more. I mean, 30 cents is nothing in that scheme of things, considering some bags are $1. $1 when you add in the shipping and everything. So for my money, I think this is gonna be the perfect setup. I can have a whole bunch on stock and it's not really that expensive. With plastic and stuff, you gotta worry about mice getting into it. With bags, you got the same thing. There could, if they sit in the sun, it doesn't matter what happens. There's lots of things that could happen. Very little can happen to this giant roll of strapping. It's not something that's perishable. They hold up well out in UV light. They're definitely strong enough. And I have no problems sending these kind of bundles to my clients and know that if they buy 100 at a time, when they get to that last bundle, them straps are still gonna be tight. And that's what's important to me, because a good product as well as good presentation can also lead you down to more business. I will be looking at doing some handles in the future because I've got all these from where I broke them and they're too short now. So my thought is to cut them up and use a little air stapler to plow them down as handles, just so it's easier for people to carry them. I think it might be nice and it wouldn't take but a few seconds. So, way to reuse bad material into something beneficial for the customer, at least on the ones that are going to be at our Firewood stands. So with that said, and if you haven't already, and I don't know why you wouldn't have by now, go down, hit subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you see all of these upcoming videos, because we got a bunch of doozies coming out for you. Make sure you go down and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. How are you doing bundles? How are you actually buying bundles? Are you one of those people that grabs a bundle for a campfire and had a bad situation with whatever it was packaged in? Let us know down there. And keep your eyes out, because our sister channel, Our World Outdoors, where we used to do all our backpacking stuff, is catching a rebrand. Lots of good info going to be coming down over there, so you definitely should go over and subscribe. And the rebranding will be coming out in the next month. And I will see you guys in the next one.